Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to another weekly reads video in which I will let you know what are the books that I managed to read in the previous week and what I hope to get to in this week. Excuse me if you hear any background noises, it's just too hot for me to close the window, so we will have to deal with that. But you know, just so you know, if you hear any strange sounds. It's also pretty windy outside, so you might hear that as well. Anyways, last week I managed to read 3 books and they were all great, so I'm really happy about that. Now, the one that I liked the least, but you know, not because it wasn't good or anything, just because the other 2 were better, is A Conjuring of Lies by V. Schwab. So this is the last book in her Shades of Magic trilogy that deals with different Londons. In this fantasy world we have Black London that is basically dead, White London it's evil, Red London that is fantastic, it has magic and all, and then we have Grey London that is basically our London that has no magic. And we meet Cal, who is the protagonist of the story, or one of them, and he's a type of magician called Antari, and he can travel to different Londons. And on one of his adventures to Grey London he meets Lila Bard, and she's this tomboyish adventurous girl, thief actually, that then follows him to Red London and adventure ensues. So in this last book, I think that this book is sort of divided. The first part, it's short, but it sort of concludes the story that took place at the end of the previous book, and that thing gets resolved, and we also get to meet the new main villain of this story, and then for the rest of the book, basically we fight him. And I have to say that I really enjoyed it. It took me a while to get into this book because it's been like a year and a few months since I read the second book, and yeah, once I did read a bigger chunk of this book, I was sucked in and I did enjoy it, and then I wanted to know what was going to happen. And yeah, now I have to say that I didn't really connect with any of the characters. Now this book is supposed to be an adult book, but I have to say that Cal and Lila, they, especially them, and then Rye of course, but especially Cal and Lila, act really like young adults. They, I think, I'm not sure how old they are, but I think they're like in their early 20s maybe, or even a bit less. I'm not sure, I don't remember from the first book, I'm sure it was told. But they are, you know, they make rash decisions, they don't think things through, they're sort of acting mature a lot of the time, especially Lila, I have to say. So, you know, I would still think that these books could be easily classified as young adult, but yeah, that's it. The villain of this story was, you know how we always, you know, say that, yeah, villains, you know, they're the protagonists of their own stories, they think they're doing good and all that. Well, this one, I think it was just evil for pure evil. It felt sort of childish, it just wanted more and more and more, it didn't have a purpose. Yeah, perhaps it was thinking that it's doing good, but I don't think so. I mean, it just, you know, this thing just thought it was entitled to the power that it wanted, and that's basically it. And it was interesting because we don't usually see villains like that. And it was, yeah, a few times there I didn't think how we're gonna, you know, actually beat this thing. And now, regarding the size of this book, it is quite huge, and I did think it could be a bit shorter. Actually, I think the whole trilogy could actually just work as a duology. All in all, the book takes, well, the story takes a lot of detours, and yes, at the end, they sort of, you know, come together, and you see why those were needed. But I think it could be done in a slightly different way. Now, despite that, I did enjoy it, and I am really happy that I read it, because now I know how the trilogy ends, and yeah, we shall see. I think that there's a few things still sort of left, you know, unanswered. They were left unanswered, and maybe she will return to this world. We shall see in the future, I guess. So the next book that I read is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I borrowed it from the library and I liked it so much that I'm getting my own copy, and you will see it in one of my future book hauls. Anyways, I was sort of skeptical that I'm gonna like this book because, you know, everybody likes it, and I was worried, well, if everybody likes it, I'm bound not to, and if I don't like it, well, I do not want to deal with the hate I'm gonna get, you know, because honestly, I haven't seen a person not like it, and that is for a reason, because it is a great book. It's not flawless or anything, it does have its issues, but all in all, the things that it discusses are so current and important that, you know, everybody can get something out of that book, and I think it's definitely worth reading. Now, in case you do not know what it's about basically the Black Lives Matters movement. This girl Star, she's the main protagonist, and she sees her friend get shot by a white police officer, and well, she has to deal with the repercussions of that, and also she has to figure out how active she wants to be in this movement. Does she want to speak out or not? What is better for her? She lives in a dangerous neighborhood. She does have to think about those things, and I really enjoyed this book. I didn't think I was gonna, as I said, but I loved her family and the dynamic that it had. They were so connected, and I really like big families, and it was sort of like this big mashup of a family, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think that was honestly my favorite part. But as I said, I do recommend this book. I'm sure there are a lot better reviews out there than this one, so make sure to go check some of those out. But as I said, I do recommend it, and I hope you guys pick it up. And the last book that I finished is Arabella Large by David D. Levine. This is book 1 in The Adventures of Arabella Ashby, and it is a fantasy book. It takes place in an alternate universe in which we have conquered our solar system, so planets like Mars and Venus are colonized. There's a steampunk, although it's not exactly steampunk because there's no steam yet, so we have these automata that do play an important role in this world. What else? There's war between England and Napoleon, so that is happening as well. And of course there's Arabella, and she has been living on her family's plantation on Mars. They're providing this type of wood that the ships that travel through space are made out of, so they're quite prosperous. And Arabella is a bit of a tomboy, so she likes to run around with her brother and play boyish games and all that, and she doesn't act like a proper lady. So her mother is tired of that, and she basically takes Arabella and her younger sisters back to Earth so they can be raised in England, in London, as proper ladies, and that's what happens. And soon after their arrival, Arabella gets a letter, or her family gets a letter that her father has passed away, and she takes that pretty difficultly because, well, she has been really close to her father. They shared the love of automata, and he did teach her a lot in that regard. So yeah, and then she learns even more grave news, and she decides that she has to go back to Mars ASAP, and basically she dresses up as a boy and gets on this ship, and then we see a lot of adventure that follows. This is one of my favorite tropes, a girl dressing up as a boy. I love seeing that, and it always just, I love those stories. And I was just wondering, do you know maybe any story in which a boy dresses up as a girl? I know that it's slightly harder for a boy to pass as a girl, but still I do wonder, because it's always a girl dressing up as a boy. And I'm not talking like for Halloween or I don't know what. And I'm not talking about Tootsie or Mrs. Doubtfire. I want a boyish, adventurous story. If you know any, let me know down in the comments. Thank you. Anyways, this was a really great book. I really enjoyed it. The language, the writing style in this was fantastic. If you compare it to The Hate You Give, this is far better. But it is a different genre, so you have to take into account that. But I really enjoyed it. It's sort of like, it reads like a historical, book. Definitely, it reads like it was from Regency era, and I really like that. And especially I liked all the elements of space travel, because there's air in space, and they basically use regular ships, but they fly off, and it's all explained, and it was slightly scientific, so it went over my head. But I did enjoy it despite that. I really loved it. Arabella is the type of character, teenage character that I really like. She's not angsty, she's really smart, she's really rational, she doesn't do stupid things. Yes, she sort of gets on this adventure unintentionally, but it's for good reasons, and all that. So I really enjoyed her as a character, and she does really well, and I really enjoyed this. How many times can I say really? I did enjoy this book so much, and I cannot wait to get my hands on the sequel, which is coming out this month. So yeah, if you're looking for, not typical YA book, which this apparently is, because I still would classify it as an adult. And actually Arabella in that time would be, she's 17, and in the 1800s she would basically be an adult. So yeah, I'm sticking to it. It's an adult book. So if you're scared of, you know, young adult books or adult, it doesn't matter. It's for everyone and it's really enjoyable, and I do recommend it. So after all that rambling, let's get to the books that I want to read this week. The first one is Humanity's Hope by Pembroke Sinclair. I was contacted by the author's publicist and they asked me whether or not I want to receive a free copy in exchange for an honest review. And I said yes, because it sounds like a really interesting book. It's actually a zombie book and I haven't read many of those. And this one sounded slightly different, so I said yes. And it's actually about this boy Caleb. He's 17 years old and he survived the zombie uprising. And you know, he didn't come out of it unscattered, but he is trying to rebuild like the rest of the humanity, but he has lost some family and friends, so it's tough for him. And there's also the fact that he is sort of immune to this zombie virus, and now he has to basically, what I think, run from humans, because clearly they will probably want something from him. That's sort of what I think is going to happen, and we shall see once I read this book. But it sounded really interesting, so I decided to say yes, obviously. Now the next book that I hope to get to is Soul of the World by David Mealing. This is his debut novel, and I'm supposed to read it with Michael from Bitten by Radioactive Book and Lourdes from Chapters Beloved. I hope we will arrange this by the read so we can start it. This is basically, it takes place in this city, and there's it's on the brink of the Civil War, and basically 3 people have to act if they want to prevent that or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Once I get to it, you will learn more. If we do not arrange to get to this, I will probably start reading, well, let me get it because I'm not prepared. Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. I think it's high time that I read this. So yeah, this one might be an option. What it's about, I think we sort of know. It's a dystopian world in which women are basically used to make babies. I think that's what it is. We shall see. If it's not, if I do not get to that one, I'll see. You know, I'm not sure what my mood is going to be like. I do want to continue on with the Wheel of the Wheel of Time. It's too hot here. My brain is just fried. So I want to get to the second book, The Great Hunt. I read the first book, what was in February, March, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it's high time that I continue because it's a long series, and if I want to make any progress, I will have to get to the second book, you know, sometime soon. So yeah, we shall see. I guess, well, you'll see next week or whenever I post another weekly reads video. I'm sort of confused. I'm starting a new job this week and I'm not sure what you know, how much time I will have and all that. So yeah, it's gonna be a bit weird, but yeah, we shall see. It's gonna be great, is what it is. So yeah. Anyways, let me know down in the comments what you're currently reading, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in my next one. Bye.